Cool. Hey man,
Hey dude, how you doing?
doing well. How are you?
Yeah, really good, really good. Day
Good man.
14, pumped.
Man, how's it been?
It's actually been like very manageable.
Okay.
Um, the first sort of like 9 days, 8 days, whatever it was, through to Christmas Eve was like really, really positive, lots to do, rearrange rooms, sort through paperwork. Yeah, like heap cleaned, did gardening, heaps of that. And Christmas Eve, we kind of like, yeah, let's enjoy the space a bit more. Christmas Day was unreal. Had like family stay socially distant out the front. My family came around in the morning, and then it was a good 43 degrees here on Christmas Day.
It's
So that was
hot.
brief. Lots of shade out the front, and then Zoe's family came around from about 4:30, and did sort of a dinner, again socially distant, in the evening. So that was really nice and actually broke some traditions, which I think is actually probably one of the biggest positives to come out of isolating for 14 days. So many like especially me being a very regimented and routine person, and my background's Italian, so it's the classic traditional meal for Italians, and the way we do it as a family has been the same for many years. And this kind of broke the mold a little bit, and it was cool to have like all the gifts at our house instead of mum and dad's and that sort of thing. So I'm curious to see how that plays into next year. If we keep cycling it around, I know my old lady listens to this, so she might cringe at the thought, but we'll see what happens. And also, I know it was the same for Zoe's family, just to try something different, instead of just the same old stuff. And it just allows you to think a little bit more outside the box, which was cool. But then, yeah, Boxing Day, again, 44 degrees on Boxing Day. So just stayed indoors, watched the cricket. And then I think since Monday, it's kind of been like a bit of a lull. I think both of us have felt that a bit, just like, all the hype and the crescendo of Christmas. And it's like, yeah, okay, we're ready to kind of get out now. So today's a big
Sure.
cleaning day. So we'll clean the house, mop the floor, do all the boring houseworky stuff. So we don't have to do that in the time that we're out. But yeah, it's been not as like, it's kind of raced by, if I'm being honest. But glad that I was at
Right.
home.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 2 weeks is a pretty long time. I actually completely forgot that you were even locked up. I
Yeah,
had
right.
yeah, completely blanked on that. And I've just been not to rub it in, but I've just been
Living the
living my
life.
life as as Christmas holidays kind of allows you to.
Yeah, for sure.
Um yeah, I think that's fun. That's a fun outcome, knowing that you don't have to do stuff the same way every single time.
Yeah,
um like with Christmas, for example, you can do it kind of however, like, the world's your oyster.
yeah, yeah.
um that's really cool. So do you just mostly spend it with family, or do you see friends at all over that period?
Christmas Day, or
Yeah,
in the past 14 days.
yeah, Christmas, mostly Christmas Day.
Two until like I met Zoe, I would like our thing is normally Christmas Eve. So we do like a big family thing Christmas Eve, Christmas morning at mum and dad's for breakfast, and then I would have like Friendsmas. So like
Yeah, cool.
any orphan Christmas sort of thing, we also called it. So any afternoon, evening, of Christmas Day. But um yeah, obviously with Zoe, we do her family usually for lunchtime, and that kind of trickles into the evening, and then we're just zonked by the evening. So not really. What about yourself?
Yeah, I spent it over a few different houses, the day, which is fine, like up at mum's, which is like an hour away,
Yeah,
and then back down for like the rest of the family, Vanna and her sisters and their partners and stuff. And yeah, it's kind of spread out, which is fine. I don't mind it. I'd rather
yeah,
not spend the day in the car. So I usually
yeah,
try and do Christmas Eve with mum, and then Christmas Day with Ivana and her family, and then just kind of keep it in one space, which
yeah,
I find a lot nicer.
yeah,
Um, but this year, yeah, it was a bit more spread out, but that's fine. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Christmas.
That's one of the things I think I've noticed as well about ISO is the amount of time you get back in your day when you're not driving anywhere. Like I don't really
Right.
drive too much in Adelaide, but when I'm in Perth, I definitely like the gyms are literally at opposite ends of Perth. So for those that know Perth, one's like our furthest north is Joondalup, further south is Jandakot. Like that's a good, in the car, it'd be 45 minutes to an hour away.
Right.
So not that I do that every day, but I would factor in 2 hours of driving, and I imagine Christmas Day for a lot of people is a lot of driving, and so just having that whole day not having to leave home was
at
actually
your
really,
house.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So it was
Do you
quite
think you'll
nice.
make a habit of it?
I definitely think, like I say, like I think the traditions have been shattered. Like I think it's a real big positive to come out of it for sure. I'm not sure we'll spend the whole day at home. Would have been nice to go to the beach in the morning or something like that. But
True.
yeah, I definitely think like maybe more outdoorsy Christmases, or like, you know, under some shade or something like that is definitely in our future for sure.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, breaking the mold. Not that the tradition was bad, but
No, not at all.
yeah, I like having iterations of things. You know, how can we make this better or easier for people or
Yeah.
easier for me and my partner or
Just try something new.
yeah, man.
I'm an
Yeah, and
advocate
I
for
think
sure.
the reason why the last 2 weeks has flown by for me is that I've had a bit of a fire lit under me. I'm up and about at the moment. I'm super keen, planning a lot for next year early on, and breaking some of my own molds, I guess.
Yeah.
I think my mold of doing the training that I've been doing has been broken a little bit now, and I realize that it doesn't. I think there's a bit of a ceiling in terms of the training.
Mm-hmm.
And it really isn't going to take me anywhere besides just becoming that kind of niche type of fitness, which is kind of a blend of, I mean, what would you say it's a blend of?
S and C kind of. I would associate it with like an S and C style program.
Sure. Yeah. S&C with like some CrossFit element. You don't do any really of the conditioning stuff. So,
I
do
definitely
you?
do the conditioning.
I swear
I've
you've
missed
taken,
I've missed Saturdays, but you know,
that's
I
it, but
definitely
you do
dabble.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
I don't think you have for the last little bit,
I've been in
or maybe I'm
isolation.
wrong.
I'll
Well,
I'll do
obviously
4 days a
not
week.
the last 2 weeks,
I'll
but
do one of them for sure. Strength
okay,
takes
cool.
priority over conditioning for sure.
Cool. And you would say from that one, sorry, man, I apologize. I just
Just
swear I
over here
haven't
getting
seen you
real
for some
thick and
reason.
just like getting, you know, slandered for not doing conditioning. Thanks, man.
No. No, I just could have sworn that you hadn't been there anyway. From that one session a week, would you say that it's like it's S and C in that there's work and rest periods? You can kind of see that, and like depending on which session you go to, it could be long efforts, lower intensity, or faster pace efforts with work and rest kind of ratios mixed in. It's still pretty CrossFitty, which is fine. Not to say that's a bad thing because it's
Yeah,
massive and
right. I
people love
wouldn't
it. And
associate
there's
it with
some
CrossFit at all, to be honest,
okay, cool.
personally. But yeah, interesting.
Just feel like there could be more variety.
Anyway, where were you leading? Where were you heading with your training? You're saying it's very single point of focus.
Yeah, it's there's a bit of a ceiling, and it's a bit of a niche type of training in that I could get better at that, and you could progress forever. You could always get better at like pulling on the skier faster, or pulling high calorie or high wattage on the row, or on the Concept 2 bike, or whatever kind of like conditioning component. You could always get better at that. However, it's just not scratching the itch. And I think I think these last couple of weeks or last week or so of not being there, I'm like, okay, now the phrase that I've been kind of retelling myself is that I'm sick of mediocrity, in that I want,
You don't want to be like the English
not
cricket
that
team.
the training is mediocre, but I feel like I'm mediocre, and that I want to really excel at something, at lots of things, at everything, to be honest, not just something, but at everything. Whatever I set myself out to do, I want to excel at it.
Yeah.
And what I have, I guess, come up with is, and this is a term I've used for the last little while, but holistic athleticism is the term that I'm, or what I'm kind of chasing, is that I never want to just be bogged down in any one style of training, in that I want to be able to clean and jerk 100 kilos. I want to be able to run a marathon, jump on a bike and do a 100K effort on there, or jump in the pool and do 5Ks without stopping, or, and then those kind of like standard strength ratios that we've talked about with body weight. What is it? Body weight bench press, or 1.5 times body weight bench press?
Two
What
and
are
two
they?
and a half. Yeah.
Yeah,
One
one and
and
a
a
half,
half.
two
One for
and
strict
2.5.
press, 1.5 bench, 2 squat, 2.5 dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to be able to achieve all of those things, plus this 50K run. And I kind of wanted to ask you what else you would think could come under that banner of holistic athleticism, because I'm looking to create a list of a long list of goals to achieve this year. And the point is, I want to be able to do them all within a short time frame. So I can bring something up, like bring my running up while maintaining strength, and then have more of a strength emphasis while I maintain my running, and then work on some other kind of thing like a swim or a bike or both, or like more of a triathlon kind of focus while I maintain my strength, and so on like that. And by the end, by maybe this week, in 12 months time, kind of between Christmas and New Year's, I tick all the boxes. I do the 1 times bodyweight strict press, the 1.5 times bodyweight bench press, the 2 times bodyweight back squat, the 2.5 times bodyweight deadlift. Then I run 50 Ks, then I do this 100K bike, then I do this 5K swim, or kind of in whatever order. But I want to be able to tick all those boxes at some point, hopefully in a short time frame, just to see that I've brought everything up together and not just having a one main emphasis. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. You said this has come to you over the past week. Like, what do you think's been the catalyst for that? Like, what happened, or like you say, you've been out of the gym and you've been thinking more laterally.
I think that I just allowed myself to, not that I cruise in the gym because I really give 100%, but I feel like it lacked direction.
Yep. Okay.
I think
so
with that, plus with what I want to do socially in terms of marketing or promoting myself as an athlete, I feel like what I'm doing right now, it's kind of stunted. It's going to be very hard to market what I'm doing when it's not it's not coming out of my brain. It's coming out of someone else's brain, which is fine in terms of the programming stuff. But I would love to practice what I preach and put my brain to the test to see that I can actually program for something and bring all of these elements of fitness up in strength, in fitness, in endurance, and in speed, and over time gradually increase all of these things to see how far I can get in 12 months.
I think my first thought then is like gradually increase. So you need to have a baseline for all of them, right?
Yep.
So if you're thinking like, you've listed like 100K ride, the things that you've just mentioned there. So 100K ride, 50K run, 5K swim, the percentages of body weight to hit for strength movements. Anything else?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Are they your markers for now? Yeah. So the only way I would flag that is if that's how you're defining athleticism, then that's flat. But like all your cardio aspects are very aerobic. There's nothing anaerobic in that. So there's nothing explosive. There's no power or speed work in there. So like there's no sprint, no 200 meter, 400 meter sprint, 100 meter sprint.
There's those Olympic lifts, which could come under power, I suppose, but not anaerobic.
100 kilo clean and jerk. You did mention that, but I would say you can train, if you wanted to be holistic and well-rounded, bring it all the way back. What is an athlete? So I would like define athlete, and then what is holistic? So if you're trying to be, what about mobility? To be able to do, say, like a pancake or like Jefferson curl so that your wrists are below your toes.
Yeah.
Like add that in as a skill or a checkpoint of a marker of being an athlete holistically. Obviously there's others like overhead mobility, which I have none of, based on that movement just then. That sort of stuff. I would incorporate that with a definition of an athlete, because you've got you've got relative strength, not absolute strength, because relative to your body weight. You've got aerobic conditioning, and you've got in some form strength speed, I guess, would come under your or strength power with your clean and jerk.
Yep.
There's nothing there for mobility, which is imperative for a holistic athlete. That sort of stuff. That's how I would maybe, the only prompt I would add in, maybe what about a 5K, and have it as a PB, like, cool, what's your 5K run? So much shorter distance, or 1K Cooper's test, 12 minutes as far as you can run in 12 minutes. Did one of them pre and post some running intervals or running training with a coach a couple of years ago. And that was a really good marker for me to go, I can actually run faster than I realized.
Yeah.
That would be my points, unless you want to really go down the athlete path and start playing golf. Then you're welcome to come and tag along with some golf games. But yeah, in terms of track and field and strength, like, no, it's not a sport based, not that running's not a sport, but you get what I mean. Metrics, I would start to think, and then you could even go, instead of doing 1 rounds for strength, what about what's it called, strength endurance, and go, cool, what's your 20-hour round back squat?
True. It's like, where do you draw the line though? That's the thing.
That's
like,
what
I think
mean.
throwing that term holistic in there, it's like, I mean, you could have, there's 1,000 things you could work towards.
That's what, we'll cap it. How many things do you want to work towards? Give yourself a number. Maybe.
Maybe it's 10. Maybe it's 10 things.
So 10 markers to improve. And then would you set yourself a goal? Like, you set yourself a goal with your strength, your relative strength. But the one is, by the sounds of it, it's to accomplish or to complete 50K run, 100K ride, 5K swim.
Yep.
Because currently, I would imagine you don't feel like you can.
No.
So some of them might just be to complete, and some of them might be to improve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got all those strength baseline measures, but the conditioning stuff, that long distance, I haven't really got anything that I've done in the last at least 6 to 9 months, or maybe longer, that I could compare to.
I feel like if you're going to do those, if you're going to do those, they're it's a lot easier to program for that.
Yeah.
Because you've got
just increase over time.
Yeah. Well, you've got really short base strength work, which you can do some hypertrophy and then strength training, which is very specific with those lifts, and accessory work, which won't affect your cardio output, because you probably get leaner, which means your strength could actually potentially grow up a lot quicker. So you might hit those metrics a lot sooner, but the other one's a lot more mental and longevity. You're putting your body under stress over a long period of time, whereas a sprint is a lot more relative to that sort of training of strength.
Yeah, I think having a sprint effort in there, whether that's like a 100 or a 40 meter,
something even like on the ergs, like 2K row.
Yeah, true.
Do a 2K row, enjoy that. You can do that alone. Do a 2K row time trial.
Horrible.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's something that I want to keep exploring over the next week or so, but I'm really like, I don't want to just be the new year, new me. And I've got into the habit of thinking about doing things and then starting, but then letting it just fall by the wayside. Whereas this year, again, I don't want to like fall into that cliche, but this is the year, of sticking to it. And I really want to set myself that goal early on. I mean, what is the date today? The 29th of December. I've started already. I've been running this week, slowly just building up distance, because that's going to be the thing. Like, I've shout out Sam Loy. He's doing 100K and then 100 miler this year. And
160K run.
Yeah, man. And I'm going to be doing the last 30Ks of his 100.
What an animal.
100K sometime in the middle of the year.
Where's he doing?
Well, we don't know yet exactly, but yeah. So that's kind of motivation for me. That's the deadline. And we've talked about this before, but for me, I need deadlines, and I'm setting myself this in 12 months time. By the 31st of December, 2022, I'm going to have ticked off these things, as many of these things as I physically can, barring like any kind of injury or sickness or whatever like that is, will hold me back from that. But I'm going to do everything I can to, in the next 12 months, achieve these things.
So you want 10 things. How many have you got? Let's list them so we can actually get clear then. So you've got, would you put your strength markers under 1?
Okay. Well, maybe it won't be 10 things then if we do that. If we call that one thing, as in like strict press, bench press, deadlift, back squat, clean and jerk, maybe snatch. So 6 things there.
So then we got 4 more. Let's do 4 more.
Okay.
What's your snatch?
50K run.
50K run. That's gnarly. Have you done a marathon before?
I've done 30, and I feel like I could have kept going.
Okay.
It wasn't so much. I just didn't fuel properly, and also it was like 10 p.m. So by that point, I'm willing to just like push past that. That doesn't bother me. But I'd only mapped out a 30, so I did the 30 and ticked it off. I could have gone further for sure, having like better preparation. Yeah. So a 50K run.
I
don't know if I'm going to do the 100K ride on like a Concept 2 bike or an actual 100K ride. I think it's just the endurance side of things that I want to tick off. I don't really care about like actually riding outside.
Okay.
But I feel like anyone could kind of do that. You know, you just go and then you just eat along the way and drink lots of water or Powerade or whatever. It's like, I feel like anyone could actually just tick that off. I haven't really got a time metric. It's just for completion.
Are you thinking about testing some of these first then?
Like test a 100K bike ride and try
and
and
try and beat it in a year. If you think like someone
Nah.
could just do it based on those words, surely you could just jump on a bike, grab some food, and then go nuts.
It's not something that I want to. Maybe what I do is I find out what a decent time, or like what's kind of the average time for completion, and
If
then I
you're doing
try and
30
beat
kilometer
that.
out, like I think knowing cycling like I don't, so correct me, my friends that do cycle, which is a few of them. I think if you're riding at 30 k's an hour, that's pretty good steady. That's a quick pace. So you're looking at 3 hours, 20 minutes.
Yep.
That's obviously non-stop at 30 k's an hour.
Yeah, if that's outside as well, there's so many variables with that. Whereas if you're just sitting on a Concept 2 bike in a room, there's no weather. There's like, you can have air conditioning.
Chuck on a Quentin Tarantino movie, be done.
Dude, Alex Friedman podcast. Elon Musk, brand new.
I saw he was on. Was that this morning or yesterday?
Yeah, something like that. I started listening to it. He's awesome. I've
had a few people reach out and go, "Who the hell is Elon Musk?"
Really?
Yeah, the guy I know. Like, never heard of the guy. It's pretty gnarly.
Damn, he's like
probably heard
2021 Man of the Year.
He's probably heard of a lot of people that I have no idea who they are as well. So different strokes for different folks.
That's it. Okay, so we've got the 100K bike.
So we've got six strength metrics, or 4 strength, 2 power sort of thing. If you want to put them in that power of the list, you've got your 100K bike, your 50K ride,
50K run. Yeah.
50K run. Sorry, 100K bike. Yeah, 50K run. You've got your 5K swim. Is that a target?
I think so. And again, this year for me is leaning into discomfort. It's leaning into stuff that I wouldn't necessarily do normally.
Mm-hmm.
And swimming just isn't something that really appeals to me that much, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't have a crack at it.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
So what's an Ironman distance? I don't want to aim for that. I think that is 5Ks.
Yeah, I think that is.
I think that's way too far.
Some other stuff. Let me just have a quick Google while I'm on here. Ironman distance.
Yeah, I think it's a marathon, 180K bike.
180K bike, marathon, 3.8K swim.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do 3 kilometers.
Why not do 3.8? You're going to do a 50K run. Can you swim?
I'm pretty lower body heavy, so I kind of drag through the water pretty terribly.
3K swim. I feel like
3K. Yep, I'll figure that out. How many laps that is? 60 laps, right? Of a 50-meter pool, I believe.
Sure, I'm sure be good with maths.
Yeah, that's what it is. So that's a 3K. Perfect. That's without stopping.
Mm-hmm. So we've got 9. Is that 9?
Yep.
Some sort of short distance.
And a sprint. Yeah. Let's go some kind of sprint effort. Or maybe it's not so much a sprint, but like a very short run effort, like a 5K run, like you said.
Could do Cooper's test. No, not a fan.
12-minute run.
5K. Best PB.
I'm going to go sub 20-minute 5K.
And then the goal is to do these
by
31st of December. A very similar time frame. Like, so you're going to test them all towards the back end. So you need to have
last couple of weeks of
the
December,
fitness and the capability to run a sub 20-minute 5K and a 50-kilometer run in the same week.
Or at some point over the year. Maybe I'll leave it open to just tick these off at some point over the year. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like unless I'm finishing with like the 50K run, I feel like that's what's going to really that's kind of almost dumb, to start with that. And then your central nervous system's just fried by that point. And, everything else just falls by the wayside. So I would have to structure these well enough that I could do them all in a short period of time, but I'm not too concerned. Like if in July I'm good to go and Sammy Loy has that 100K run and I'm like, hey man, like I'll join you for the last 50. And he says, yeah, sweet. And if I don't hold him back, because he's probably going to run like 3 45-minute Ks. He's an absolute freak. Maybe not that fast, but definitely in the fours.
Jeez,
Pretty crazy.
that's quick.
And if I'm feeling good, then I'll tick it off. I'm not going to just wait.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
There's
And to document all
targets.
this is kind of the next thing that I want to lean into. It's not just leaning into this like physically demanding stuff. It's also mentally and technologically, I suppose, leaning into stuff that I wouldn't necessarily be good at, which is in the last few months, I've really focused on documenting my training on Instagram, which has been fine. It's been great. It's been good for me to look back and see progress in strength increase.
Yeah.
But again, the conditioning stuff, it's kind of hard to figure out if you are actually getting better, because all conditioning work, every workout should be tough. Like by the end of that session, it's going to feel pretty much the same regardless how fit you are. The fitter you get, the harder you push, the more calories you achieve, the faster you do it. Sure. By the end, it's going to be pretty hard regardless. It's not like you get to the end of any workout and you're like, oh, okay, I'm fitter because that was so much easier. Unless it's a very standard workout where it's like, okay, you have to lift this much weight for this many reps or run this distance. And if your time gets shorter, then obviously you're getting fitter. But with these kinds of workouts, it's tougher to track those things. So that's why I thought I need something that I'm actually seeing like a tangible increase in speed or decrease in time or whatever. Hence, like part of that as a catalyst for this change in my programming. But I really want to document this, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but document this in video format in kind of like longer form on a YouTube, or whether that's Instagram or YouTube but I feel like that's something that I really want to get into, and not so much, I don't really care about the success of it, but it's more so just doing it because I've started so many things and let so many things fall by the wayside. And this and YouTube, as in this podcast and YouTube, for this year at least, if not for a couple of years or ongoing, these are the things that I really want to stick to, because I see it as such a massive benefit. Not just for myself, but for people listening and seeing how like passionate you and I are about doing this kind of stuff. It might inspire them to do stuff of their own, which I think is important, like breaking the mold of just like, all right, new year, new me, go to the gym from January 1st or 3rd or whenever they open back up through to like mid-March. and then you're done. It's like, you've done that for how many years in a row now? You, at some point, you need to decide, like, if you do want to get better, then you need to really stick to something.
Yeah, for sure.
And I see so much benefit for myself for doing this kind of stuff. So again, like, not this new year, new me thing, but this is the year where I'm sticking to stuff and I'm setting my sights on these milestones, as in at least one episode a week with the podcast. I'm going to try and get at least one episode a week for the YouTube, if not like once every fortnight or so. Really depending on like availability of this guy that I'm going to work with, Karat, to do some videography stuff. So that's like, like I said at this very start, I've had this fire lit under me, and I'm super keen to get stuck into this stuff, and it's already begun. Like, I've already started running. It's gonna be a big one.
Sick, dude. What's like, you can anticipate that, you just said it before, it's like you started so many things. What do you think, like, that wall that you hit where you want to stop is going to eventually hit?
For sure.
Like, what are some things that, like, what are some stories you've told yourself before as to like why you stopping is a good idea? Like, let's identify some of those.
I think it's because I see that next opportunity, and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to go after this thing. And that means that this old thing can just kind of fall off and it won't matter too much. Like, maybe I'm not holding anyone, like no one's holding me to account, or I'm not, like, if this was to fall off, that would be very annoying for you. So that's an obvious, like, easy one. And plus I love doing it. That, I'm not going to let you down. That's a really important one. It's tough for something that is like very self-driven to maintain that drive. I think it's, a new opportunity coming up. But I think what I have to do is compartmentalize and say, all right, what's the next opportunity for this thing that I could maintain doing, as in like for the YouTube, let's say. what's this next thing that I'm aiming to achieve whilst doing this YouTube thing? Like, is it a certain amount of subscribers, or is it like a process goal, like getting one episode out a week, or something like that, rather than just, all right, I'm just going to do it, and however it kind of comes out, then that's how it comes out. And then I think any little thing, like any new shiny thing that comes up, it's like, all right, I'm just going to jump at that now. I think I'm going to set myself some process goals for these things so I can maintain consistency throughout.
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly what is the thing that kind of knocks me off course besides like new opportunity and chasing that next thing.
Yeah. Something that we do with a lot of people is just like, what stories have you told yourself as to why you can't in the past? But I suppose you haven't even tried, so it's hard to say why you can't. But I think it's important to identify like what are the things that are going to prevent you from continuing with this. And if you've got, like you say, process goals instead of outcome-based goals, it's a lot easier to go, cool, I need one a week, or I need one every 10 days, or whatever it was for your YouTube, or these one a week for our podcast, or whatever that is. It's just a case of what happens when, like, will you plan? Is it a case of, cool, I need a backlog? Or like, not that you need to answer that now, but like, shit will come up, you'll forget.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, it's easy to not. Like, as an example, like my yoga for 14 days, that's not been easy to continue for 14 days, because you can't be fucked sometimes. Like, wake up, do a yoga, feel better 100% of the time after I've done one, at least done something. But it's like something your brain will tell yourself, no, you can just stop. Like, man, the brain's got a devil in it, 100%. Like, it'll just always say, you don't need to do that anymore.
And that creeps in.
Yeah. So I think it's important, like, absolutely. And I'm a big one for needing accountability, but like, if you can figure out that self-accountability, or that intrinsic drive that maintains your course towards a goal, that's going to be easy. And it's obviously having a big enough, like, why am I doing this? Which I think, I guess, is your holistic athleticism target, and just checking in and going, hey, let's chat about your 50K run development. How are we doing? And you'd be like, yeah, man, I ran 49 last week. We'll just tick on.
Easy as that. Yeah. I need to think about what that is that will come up and knock me off course, and so I can be prepared for it.
Yeah, I don't think you'll know. I just think something will come up. You can't predict, unfortunately, until Elon does produce the robots. You can't predict, or the future. You can't have a very clear understanding, like, oh, this is going to pop up and that's going to sway me off course. Like, it'll come when you least expect it, at the hardest time, and you'll forget to run. You're like, you know what? It's pissing down, it's hailing down 3 days. Like, it's been 42 plus for 4 days in a row here.
Brutal.
In a row. Yeah. I still see people running out the front. I'm just like, man, you are committed. They just get up a bit earlier, or whatever.
History repeats itself. And if I look at old examples of myself when I've started something and let it fallen off, let it fallen off, then I could see a pattern there for sure. I think that's an important understanding. And that goes with like everyone's fitness goals, I think. Like, whether you're starting on January 3rd when the gyms open back up, or 4th or 5th or whenever it is, understanding that if you've done this for the last few years and you've fallen off by mid-March, or when it starts getting cold and wet in June and July, like, what is the standard thing? Like, what is the consistent thing that's throwing you off this course? Is it the weather? Is it like lack of motivation? Is it lack of seeing results? Is it you've done the same program for 6 months and you're like, man, I'm bored of this thing? Or I think that's
like I said, like you just acknowledged before, it's like, it's the new shiny thing. It's the next opportunity. So it's not that won't pop up. As you said, like before, you're looking at other spaces and that sort of stuff. There will always be the next opportunity, but it's like, that should be working into what you want to do long term, not necessarily it's this or that. And it's allowing yourself to go, no, this is a priority. So it always needs to, like the classic, when people say they don't have time for stuff, like, we all know that you have time if you make time. It's all good. It's just not a priority. Like, don't never say you don't have time.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard sometimes for some people to say, oh, I just don't have time for seeing people, seeing friends. It's like, no, it's just not a priority, and that's okay. But don't say you don't have time. Like, other things take priority, and that's all good. So it's the same when it comes to training for 10 different goals. You've got to make time. So if shit pops up, or like, yeah, you know what, I've got to work every morning this week and it's going to be 35 through the day, maybe wake up an hour earlier, go for that run, or get into the gym earlier and get on the bike, or whatever it is.
Right.
It's making sure that, you know, those road bumps in the road you will hit them, and there's potholes that you can't see, and you just got to be prepared to get rattled sideways and then get back on course.
Yeah, man, I'm more motivated than ever right now with what's going on, and my work allows me to do stuff like this. Like I don't work a lot. Like with owning the gym and doing this kind of stuff, and with the footy teams and whatnot, it allows me to really put into myself and my own goals. And I feel like I've just been working as a PT. Obviously, you're working for other people's goals. I've been doing that for 10 years or 9.5 years or something. I feel like now is the time at like 27, I'm 28 next year, to really dig into this stuff and have a real crack at it. And I feel like that is going to help. It'll help me knowing that I can do it, but also if I can document it and people see it, and it's like, you know, I'm not that I'm in bad shape by any means, or, you know, that I'm weak or unfit or whatever, but it's very subjective person to person. Like your starting point is going to be completely different to the next person's. But if you see, all right, I started 12 months ago and this is how much I've achieved, then hopefully it's inspiring for other people to do the same thing. You don't have to wait for January 1st to start. You can just do it. And I think that's the point of me doing it now in the last week of December, is not waiting that extra like 10 days or whatever to get stuck into this thing. Plus I'm super impulsive. So it's like, all right, I don't want to wait for that anyway. Like I'd rather just start now and start doing it. You know?
I think you need those people. Like you say, this podcast wasn't going to be released until the first week of Jan. And then you just release it. And it's like, yeah, sick, let's just do it. So I think you need the balance of both approaches. You just need, normally with measured and calculated approaches comes longevity, not always. And with impulsive approaches comes not rash or irrational decisions, but not longevity, you know. So if you can get the best of both worlds, absolutely, like do the thing, do it now. Doesn't need to start on a Monday, all that sort of motivational, inspirational posts. Get it done. So in saying that, when's your first YouTube coming out? And what's it called? Is it Luke's channel? What are we calling it?
Just Luke Winrow on YouTube. It's actually already up. I've started creating the banner for the YouTube, like the customization thing.
Get some subs already. Shout it out.
Yeah. I need to do a lot of planning for it first. Planning for the program and the actual periodization of this thing. Because I'm not going to go in like a cowboy and just run 25Ks in the first week and then just increase it by 5 every week and have it done in the first 2 months. I need to actually plan this thing, especially considering I've got all of these things I need to balance. Like I'm not just going to not do any strength stuff and just run. I need to try and balance everything. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And I think that's what the first episode is going to be about. Once I've figured out the plan for it, I'm going to explain it all and put it out there, because that's kind of part of it, is the education behind, you know, periodization, creating macro cycles and meso and micro cycles, and, you know, having it written in pencil, not like chiseled in, because you never know what's going to come up. There's so many variables with training, you know, that with the weather, with injury and illness and work and whatever, you get locked down for 14 days. You never know, like, you know, it just could throw a spanner in the works massively. So
big time.
That's a big part of it. I think there's going to be a lot of planning over the next 5 days or so, I think. And then I'm in the first half of January, the first one will be up for sure.
Cool. Sick.
Yep.
Love it. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, man. I'm keen. And I'm keen to talk about it more on here as well. And just kind of like, you know, explore what's going on. And same with yours. I mean, you've got your marathon stuff coming up.
Definitely a half marathon. Let's not promise the people and underdeliver.
Sure.
Definitely half. But yeah, got a promotion for that, or some sort of prompt about doing one in, I think it's McLaren Bar, very hilly.
Nice.
I think it's in May. Can't remember exactly. Could have that wrong, but first week of May is the first race. So actually today I've got some time blocked out to do exactly what you just mentioned and plan out a little bit of a first sort of 4 weeks of running training. First thing I'll do tomorrow morning as soon as I wake up is go for a run, get out of here and enjoy. There's a nice lake near where I live. So go for a run around there. But
nice.
Yeah, definitely half a marathon, 3 of them. So technically, I guess you could call it 63 kilometers, 63.3 kilometers, but
just have to outdo me, don't you?
Maybe not all at once. Maybe not all at
Yeah,
3 51
without
kilometers. No. Yeah, definitely going for speed over volume of work. So I really want to get the speed work up.
Yeah,
for
cool,
sure.
Man.
Yeah.
And how are you going to document that?
The training. How do you mean?
Are you going to put it out there, or are you just going to knuckle down, get in the cave and do it?
A little bit of both. I'm not like I'm curious as to how the goal for having some sort of YouTube presence is definitely real. I just know that video editing and all that sort of stuff takes a lot of time and effort, and I don't want to this is a very much not even a side hustle, just a little passion project, I guess. So I don't want to release something average, and I don't want to sacrifice work and that sort of stuff because I enjoy what I do. But yeah, I'm curious. I don't really have an actual outlined goal. I think I definitely want to document some sort of weekly to 10-day progress, but I don't think I want it to be exclusively running, because I don't watch, how boring would that be just for me to watch someone run? I don't know, there's things that pop up, and I want to create a good content. And so, one thing that the documentation will include is possibly a lot of golf, because I enjoy watching a lot of golf on YouTube and that sort of stuff, being social golf, not necessarily competitive golf. But that's probably more the thing that I would enjoy creating content for. So creating content around, hey, I went, this is my plan, and I don't have that same drive for that sort of content initially, in terms of that sort of training. So it'd be hard for me to get excited about creating that, especially when it's a passion project, and I can guarantee that would fall by the wayside very quickly if I did.
Yeah.
So I want it to be something I enjoy, and would be happy to spend hours on my computer and just go, oh, let me edit this and blah, 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 rather than something that, I won't really get excited or inspired by.
Sure. Yeah. I think for me, it's, as I've just said before, sticking to something for the year. And that's the outcome that I want. Like I said, I don't obviously I want to put out really good content, obviously. I don't want to put anything shit out, because I always just want to be the best at whatever I put my mind to. But
100%.
If I'm doing it for me, I'm not doing it for subscribers or for money or anything like that. It's all right, I'm going to prove to myself that I can actually stick to something.
Yeah.
And I've done it before. I've done lots of running training, and I didn't drink for basically 2 years, and and all this kind of stuff. I've done it before, and this is just a new thing. It's just developing the skill in videoing myself, my training and editing and doing that kind of stuff. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, sick. I like the idea of that. I like the idea of almost like a vlog style, more so than necessarily specifically targeted on an attribute or a development of running or whatever that would come into it, but not being super specific on that. But we'll see how we travel along. I think for me, definitely it's something that I'm wanting to do, but I've got more passion around maybe developing this as a podcast and that sort of stuff initially, and see how that develops maybe in the first quarter.
Yep. I like it, man. And we're just going to put a lot of effort into this and seeing where this goes as well. That's a big takeaway from this. Yeah,
definitely. What's bringing it all back, because we were talking briefly about Christmas. I can see 2 of my favorite Christmas gifts on my desk here, and I'm curious what would be your best gift that you got this year?
I got an air fryer.
You got an air fryer? A portable oven?
Which is sick.
Love it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, man. Made some chippies last night.
Yeah,
works a treat. Have you got one at home?
An air fryer? Nah, man. No. They were all the rage about 12 months ago. Everyone was frothing.
Yeah, I'm pretty late to the party, but honestly, they are that good as people say.
What? Tell me why. I'm curious. I never really got on the bandwagon.
I don't know. It just seems easier. I'm not sure why. It probably isn't. We've got an oven, literally sits right next to the oven, so it probably isn't any easier. But yeah, it just seemed just cooking seemed easier in it. There was less kind of preparation, I suppose, and cleaning it was way easier, and the chips came out better. I don't know if that's a biased thing or what, but it's got this little basket that rotates on the inside, and you put the oil in there, and then it's just it's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
You get to cook any meat in there? but that's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. But I think
Yeah,
roast
yeah, yeah.
veg is like the go-to,
Mhm.
and then just like cook, pan cook the steak or the chicken breast or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan so far. I've only used it once, but I'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, keep me
That was a good
updated for
thing.
sure.
How about you? What did you get back there? A cactus?
No,
Has
that's
that
been
always
there
been
for
there?
ages. That's always been there.
Oh, okay.
I've got actually, like, the more I think about it, the more like I got some pretty sick gifts. But there's this one. I do a lot of writing, as I'm sure you know. And Zoe got me this. It's like, not that people that are listening can see what I'm holding up. It's this notebook with really nice paper, but it's got all these really cool prompts in it. Like, as an example, and it's pretty like artistically laid out and creatively laid out, which is not how I operate. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
true.
As an example, the one I'm just open to is, how do you want to feel next month?
Cool.
Like, yeah, really, like, you'd never consider that. You wouldn't be going, oh, I really want it like on a daily. What color is catching your eye this week? And then how do you relate to
Right.
this hue? What is it trying to tell you? Like, that sort of stuff. Really, really, like, oh, like, and there's no, like, you don't do it daily. There's no dates on it. You just open to a page and can start writing.
How often are you going to do it?
I haven't opened it yet. I want to allow it the time and space. But I think that's going to be in replacement of my morning journal that I've been writing my 3 gratitudes and that sort of stuff in.
It's going to replace it.
Yeah, I think that was, I like the idea of thinking differently. I want to, I don't want to be stuck in my same barrel down the straight path that I've been barreling down for the past X amount of years. And then the piece de resistance. So anyone that knows golf knows Titleist Pro V1s are the best ball in golf. However,
Nice.
this is so apologies for the noise for those who are listening, but I got these balls, right, and they look just like standard Pro V1 Titleist, but then they've got my rude head on them.
That's sick.
How sick is that?
That's really cool, man.
So I'm not that good, so I'm going to lose them very quickly. So I'm going to keep a sleeve at home.
How would you get, like 1,000 printed out?
No, mate. Pro V1s aren't cheap, so I think custom Pro V1s are probably a little bit more, but just 12. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking after those. I'm actually playing golf on Sunday with some boys, so I'll take a couple then, but hopefully I don't lose them. But that would
last me about 9 holes. I reckon.
Yeah, I'm just curious when someone, like, if I lose one, someone goes and finds it. It's like, geez, this bloke thinks a lot of himself, doesn't he? Like, just getting his head printed on his own golf balls. But
I love that.
Yeah. So they'd probably be my 2 go-tos for sure. I think I had an inkling I was getting golf balls, and I was like, sick, I can always do more golf balls. Then seeing our Pro V1s, I was like, oh, that's unreal, like high quality golf balls. Then seeing that they were custom, I was like, yeah.
What makes them so much better?
Look, no idea. I don't actually understand the science of golf balls, but there is, like, you can get various degrees of like soft golf balls, and they're a little bit more forgiving. Therefore, the harder ones can go further, but you need to be spot on. And I think it's a lot to do with branding and marketing, to be honest, but we buy into it, don't we?
Sure.
So,
of course.
And I've got a bunch of like home office based things, which is really cool. And a lot of them are transportable, given that I travel a lot. So that's a big win as well. So pretty pumped for the new year with all my new gear.
Yeah, man. All the gear. Some idea, lots of ideas.
A lot of ideas, applications. We'll see how we go. I did want to, you did mention, one of the things we have wanted to do and we'll be doing in the new year is bringing on guests, and we want to get other people's thoughts and backgrounds in this sort of age range that we talk about and that we come from, and just hear about their journey, not in a interviewee space, but more in a conversational space, and just exactly how we are, like what's been happening this week, or what did you struggle with, etc. And we do have one lined up. Is that correct? Potentially.
Early days. Yes.
Early days.
Actually, I've got a few people really keen.
Yeah.
So we could say that we've got like maybe a handful of people keen to get on.
Yeah. See. Cool. I'm thinking maybe once a fortnight we might be having like just a different human on, and they're going to be people from different walks of life, and that's kind of what we want. Don't exactly want the big social media following, high successful, making billions and billions, because that's in a small percentage of of life of who we are, and we want to get kind of all ends of the spectrum, the 80% of people, and just hear about how people tick along, people that maybe are goal oriented and some people that aren't, people that are in corporate and people that are artists. Just have a little bit of all aspects, all walks of life, just to pick some more brains, I guess.
100%. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, I mean, it would be awesome to talk to Elon Musk, but I'm thinking, as you say, like the 80% of people, because that's who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be cool to get Sam
Exciting.
on as well, potentially. Like if he's want to do this 50, well, not 50Ks, that's mediocre for him, but 100K run and 100-mile
100
run.
mile this year.
Yeah, that would be very cool to
Yeah,
hear
man,
about
he's keen.
some of that.
Yep.
Definitely.
Plus Ben Yeomans is an ex-military guy. It'd be good to talk about like PTSD and mental health and his training and what he's gone through. Yeah, there's a lot of cool people that we're going to chat to over the next year or so. For sure.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you got planned for New Year's Eve?
I don't know, mate. I reckon I'll head up to the Adelaide Hills, see a few mates, have a few gins.
A few gins, nice.
About pretty low key. How about you?
Get some fresh air. No, we've been allowed outside. Not really too much. I think pretty low key. Haven't really been one for ringing in the new year at midnight. Absolutely sourced in the past few years. I kind of enjoy getting up early on New Year's Day, go for a run, hit the beach, do that sort of stuff. So nothing too crazy. Might head to the coast and have some quality time with some friends, but nothing too wild. Yeah. Yep.
Good, man. I reckon I'll do the same. Keep it pretty low key. Plus, I mean, what a better way to start the year? Like, especially if we've got 10 things to tick off this year. I don't want to start it on a red recovery on my Whoop just here. I want to be peaking. I want 9 hours of sleep, 9 hours of quality sleep on New Year's Eve night. And yeah, we'll start off with a bang.
Chasing that Whoop sponsorship. Send him our way.
Will Ahmed. That's the CEO of Whoop.
Oh, right. It's definitely tuning in. Sweet, man. Well, enjoy your New Year's Eve. I'm pumped to check back in a couple of days and just hear how you're traveling, how that all began. We might today is Wednesday, so we'll definitely get this one out shortly, I think. Hopefully later today, and then we'll check back in maybe early next week and just see how the progression has begun, hear about this plan that you've got, and go from there.
Yeah, man. Time for a run for me.
Easy, mate. Go out, get some sunshine. I'll let you know how I get on tomorrow morning.
Perfect, man.
Speak soon.